I'm Cheree Ramirez, the host of Community Unity by Children's Services Council of Martin County, located at the 10th Street Studio. We are back in the 10th Street Studio, and sitting across from me is the wonderful school superintendent, Michael Maine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Michael is also a council member for the Children's Services Council.
Yes, yeah, pleasure to be here. Very excited, kind of serving both roles today.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I'm most excited about is you're my first council member that I get to interview, so you know who CSC is,
Yes.
you know the ins and the outs of
Yes.
what we do.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for your role as well to be able to see the back end of the statistics for the school district.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you ended up working for the school district.
Yeah, I started out working for the Hernando County School District over on the West Coast, spent 20 years there as a principal, teacher, assistant principal, director of recruitment and retention, and grew up in Brevard County over here on the East Coast and have 4 beautiful daughters, and it was time to get my daughters closer to grandma and grandpa and,
Somewhere in County?
Yeah, somewhere, and just for a change, get back over on the East Coast. I've always loved it over here.
Mm-hmm.
I have family in Vero Beach. I have family in Jupiter, so we kind of span the whole East Coast, and it gave me an opportunity to start looking for positions and became the executive director of principals and professional standards 3 years ago, and oversaw all of our school principals and got to oversee our professional standards office. And then Ginger Featherstone retired, moved up into deputy.
Okay, so I know Ginger because
Yes.
I've done some volunteer work with her for Martin County Leadership.
Okay, yeah.
And then now I know Tracy.
Yeah.
Her and I were in leadership
Yes.
together. So there's like a succession there.
There is,
essentially, yeah.
We're trying to make sure that every position within the district office, whether principal, coordinator, director, assistant superintendent, that there's built-in succession planning for our employees for like vertical mobility.
Awesome.
If you become a teacher and there's no upward movement, if you don't want to be a teacher forever, then we're not going to hold on to employees. So it's a good retention strategy to onboard employees and say, listen, if you have aspirations to do something else beyond just teaching, there's leadership roles and opportunities for you to get into. And so I think every good organization needs that.
That's pretty great.
And so it's been good for us.
Well, and that also helps with any, turnover within the school district
Yes.
as well, because
Yeah.
it allows, okay, well, let me move sideways. This isn't something that I really like, but let me
Right.
stay within the school district, and you guys have a great retirement plan, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
it would behoove them to stay with the school district.
It would, and I don't want employees looking to St. Lucie or Indian River County or Palm Beach County because that's their only opportunity to promote. So if they know that they can promote from within, one, we're building capacity amongst our own leaders and our team. They know the culture and climate of Martin County, so why have to go start all over again in a different district? And so even though I started over and moved districts as the superintendent, I want our people to stay. I want our people to not feel like they've got to move across the state for opportunity.
And so you just, I guess it's been like a year and a half, almost 2 years now that you've become, oh man, time flies, doesn't it?
It flies really quick because I feel like I've been in the role for a few years now, but it is officially year 2 for me as superintendent. Yes.
Well, you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
I wasn't planning on talking about employment at all, but
that's
hey,
okay.
I just kind of walked right into that.
Absolutely.
And I know that that's something that Martin County residents and families are struggling with right now. So if you're having any job fairs, you can go ahead and share that link with me, and I'll be able to put that in the description box
Excellent.
below.
That sounds great. And they can always go to martinschools.org as well, and all of our information is posted there.
Perfect. So that's great to know. If you're looking for a job and you want to work for the school district, they have opportunities for you to grow.
Yeah, perfect.
And so I wanted to ask a little bit about the grading system and how Martin County School District is graded currently, and like our status?
Yeah, so right now we're 1 point away from an A as a district. Last year we were 6 points away from that A. The state changed the grading scale again, and so anytime they change the grading scale, and it's been different for the last 3 years, every year for the last 3 years, we have to adjust and move. So if the grading scale would have stayed the same as it was for 22-23, we would have gotten our A and had a lot of margin, in between. But when the state decided to move the grading scale out again for districts, we missed it by a point. So
Now, why
we're
do
real
they
close.
change it?
There's a lot of different accountability metrics and factors. There's the new FAST assessment and they moved away from FSA, and now they moved to a FAST assessment. And anytime you go to a new accountability model, the state has to take a year to calibrate those results and to go through a lot of statistical analysis and data tracking to make sure that the data is sound. And I'm not a math person, but I feel like there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, a lot of complicated work to come up with a grading scale calculation. And so now that we were a year under the FAST assessment, they've been able to see what the results look like, and they've been able to establish a new grading formula for districts to follow.
So the grading for the school district is is directly coordinated with the testing scores?
It is. And so each school receives their accountability results based on their student data and how their students perform on those statewide assessments, or those 3 progress monitoring assessments each year. And then how well each school does factors into our overall district grade. So basically each school has a report card, and those report cards are all merged into one overall district report card that then gives us our school grade, so our district grade. So hopefully that kind of makes it a little easier in sense that there's categories. We have a math category, a science category, an ELA category. Graduation rates give us a category. CTE and acceleration points are a category. And then, our bottom quartile, our students who are struggling academically count in a different bucket as well. Students with disabilities count as a certain number of points. Black students, Hispanic students, white students, they all count for different points.
Interesting.
Based on how they grow.
So dependent upon our, ethnicities and within the schools and our background, and that's very interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we track all students, but we want to make sure that all students are excelling. So if you come into the district as a non-English speaker, we're tracking that. We're making sure the state is tracking that to make sure that our English language learners, our L students, that they are on par to achieve just as well as any other student in the district. And in Martin County, our motto is all means all, right? That's our mission, all means all. And so we can't just look at one subgroup of students. We have to look at all students in Martin County to make sure that they're achieving.
That's awesome, because that's what it really takes, is for all of our students to succeed.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that you were kind of touching on was a little bit of a why I could see. It's like all means all. Did that change when you came in to the superintendent role?
No, I honestly think that's what drew me to Martin County, right? When you're doing research to where to move your family and where to potentially set up shop as a second, a second district to join, you need to join a district that calls on you, right? And I loved that mission of all means all, and all students, all in Martin, every better together, igniting together. That just drew me to Martin County, because I feel like, as someone who is a teacher at heart of underprivileged students, or students that are in crisis, or students that are at risk, there's a passion and a deep-rooted desire there to see those students succeed. Because students that come from to-do families, or family units, I should say, that are intact, that have a mother, a father, two well-paid, good-paying jobs, and they're able to support their students at home, those students are going to succeed.
Yeah.
Historically, we see that regardless of the students, what's happening in school, they're going to succeed. It's the students where their family unit is broken down. They're being raised by a grandmother, they're being raised by a grandfather, maybe they're in foster care, maybe they've been adopted, maybe they don't know who their parents are. Those are the students that, personally, my why is to see them excel and achieve, because it's just unlocking something inside of them that just gives them that glimpse of hope and that self-confidence that they're just as good, if not better in some cases, than any other student that came from a family, a traditional family that supported them.
Yeah.
And so those are the students that we're after, to stay on top of, to say, hey, you can do anything you put your mind to, and you can excel at high rates, and you could go to college, you can go into the military, you can go into post-secondary, career readiness programs that are going to prepare you to leave and go out into the workforce and be ready to have a very high-paying job and support yourself.
Yeah, and be successful.
Correct, and not fall victim to your past or to your circumstance.
Yep, all those generational cycles, and that's something that we talk about at CSC is like trying to help fill those gaps so that the families and the children especially can be lifted up.
Absolutely.
Out of them.
Right.
And so I love that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And I know that personally, like, when you're told you can't do something, or when you're told that you're not as good at something, it just pushes you to go further most of the time, right? And for these children, you're giving them the opportunity to push themselves further, and that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's holding all of them to high expectations. Sometimes people do the opposite, right? We look at a child who's been through crisis or has needs, and we feel bad for them. And so we say, you know what, not today. We're going to kind of, let's take it easy today, or let's make it a little easier. It's all right. And we're playing victim. We add to that victim, mentality, whereas instead it's like, okay, I know you've had it rough, but at the end of the day, I'm going to hold your expectation up here because you're going to rise to that expectation. I'm not watering down what it is that I'm asking you to do because I feel bad for you. I'm not doing anything good for that child when I do that. I need to hold them to a higher expectation because they're able to do it even though they've been through a lot. They may need some additional supports. They may need some help in areas for coping. But at the end of the day, it has not affected their ability to cognitively attain and acquire information.
Well, that's why it's great that you sit on the council to be able to know about these programs that are available, to be able to partner with them, and to be able to say, hey, we have these resources available for mental health, for post-secondary, training and job skills. And also, I mean, CTE, you brought up CTE, such a wonderful program. Lana Barros, did I say her name correctly?
You did. She's incredible.
Incredible, exactly. And the work that they're doing there to be able to help those students up for success, like I said before. So I love that you are so passionate about being involved with those students just as much as being involved with the honor students.
Yeah, and I think that's what I love about being a council, member for the Children's Services Council, is because you get to see where the money's going. You get to see the programs that come forward, the need and the ask for what they're trying to do. And of course, we can't fund everybody. There are a lot of organizations that we're not able to for one reason or another, but the organizations that come forward that are funded are definitely filling a need in the community. And they're a partner to the school district in many ways because we can't do it alone. So as a school district, like everybody, we hear it 1,000 times, right? It takes a village. But it takes more than just the school district. It takes the entire community. And Children's Services Council does an amazing job taking all of those community organizations, help to support them with funding, which then in turn supports the students, the very students that we serve every day in the classroom. And those are good wraparound services.
Well, and our goal is to have that community unity for this podcast, is to share the resources and to share the need for partnerships and the need to be able to help our neighbor out, and just being more caring and more kind. And I feel like that is like my mission is to why I work for CSC,
I love it.
right?
I like it.
So,
Yes.
I know that we are partnering on something very exciting.
Yes.
Kiana Kelly is our new Martin Reads coordinator, and Martin Reads is our Florida grade level reading campaign. And I know you are very familiar with this because you have joined us as a change maker.
We are all in. We're all in.
You all are
yes.
in.
Yes.
And the school district, so I know that right now our reading scores, they did go up 2%.
Yes, they did. They did.
We're at 53% for being on grade level. And can you just elaborate a little bit more about the importance of Martin Reed and the partnership that we have?
Yeah, I think Kiana's a phenomenal person to lead this charge with the Children's Services Council in partnership with the school district. 53%, even though we went up 2%, I do not sugarcoat this or mince words. I tell that's not acceptable. I think for anybody as a community, as a matter of fact, the state average is not much higher. You know, the state average is in the 50%. And so when we take a look at this as a whole, this is a huge problem statewide. But if we're talking about Martin County specifically, there's no reason that we shouldn't be at 90%. We should be at 100%. We should want all students reading on grade level by the time they leave second grade, so that we're not compounding the problem when they get to third, fourth, and beyond. And so I think this Martin Reads initiative for 90% of our students to be reading on grade level by the time they leave second grade, I think we set for 2028, is a huge feat, right?
Yes, it is.
It's a bold goal, but it's a goal that's needed, right?
And it's a epidemic that can be served.
Yes.
That can be changed.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's not just the state of Florida.
Right.
It's nationwide.
You are absolutely right.
And it's I know the way that kids are being taught how to read, with the science of reading and what we're trying to push out.
Yes.
And don't we have something in the works in partnership with the Education Foundation well, where we're setting up a lab school at Port Salerno Elementary?
Yeah, so hopefully what will be coming to the council soon will be a proposal to fund, and pending approval, we would love to be able to name our first lab school through this initiative as Port Salerno Elementary. And what that'll do is it'll fund two key positions, two instructional coaching positions, one for kindergarten and one for first grade, that will help to work alongside the teachers to model lessons, really train and teach the science of reading and how we should be teaching reading now, and allow the teachers to build capacity to reach students on a much different level than we've been reaching them before. We're hiring a lot of teachers that are not coming from traditional colleges anymore of education because there's a teacher shortage. 5,000 needed for the whole state of Florida as of yesterday. And so when you have that many teacher openings, you're hiring career changers. You're hiring people coming from the business community. You're hiring people coming from the military. They're not trained to teach students how to read, particularly in the primary grade levels. And so we, as an education institution, need to partner with the Children's Services Council and the Ed Foundation and all of these great organizations to come together to say our teachers need training, our teachers need guidance. We have to follow what research tells us is the best way to teach students how to read. And this is the first steps of many, hopefully, in the future.
So is the curriculum something that Martin County School District can change when it comes to ELA?
We absolutely can. I will tell you that the adopted reading series benchmark that we have, that we spent a lot of money on, is research-based, and it is rooted in the science of reading. We also supplement using foundations, and that is research-based as well, for every kindergarten, first, and second grade teacher to spend 30 minutes every day before their 90-minute reading block starts to teach the foundational skills of reading, phonics, letter naming, phonemic awareness, all those pieces that go into teaching students the very basics, formulation of letters, all of those things to become readers once they get into the first grade and second grade level. But all of that comes by training. All of that comes with teachers needing a good coach or a good model for them
Hence
to
the lab
observe
school.
and watch.
Okay.
And so the lab school's going to be born, hopefully, and additional positions will be able to be funded. And hopefully we could even expand it to hire additional teachers
Yeah.
so that we can bring down our ratios. So instead of it being one teacher to every 18 students, at our lab schools, we could have one teacher for every 16 students or one teacher for every 15 students, and allow for there to be more of that individual attention to students.
Because not every student learns the same way.
Absolutely.
You
Correct.
can't put everyone in
You
a
cannot.
box.
You
And
cannot.
again, as you were talking about earlier, they have different home lives and
Yes.
situations that they're going through.
Absolutely.
So that's really exciting.
It is.
And we're happy to have you on board, because that just means that you will help us champion this into the
Definitely.
community,
Yes.
into the business development boards and the economic councils and getting other organizations involved
Yes.
to help us with this.
Yeah, people, I think that's perfect way to put it. People ask all the time, how can they help? And what we need is people in the classroom, volunteers. You don't have to be a trained educator to be able to volunteer and tutor students. If you have time, if you can give of that time and you want to become a volunteer and you want to go into one of our lab schools, or you want to go into one of our primary schools, elementary schools at the primary level to tutor, just reading with students, just reading to them.
Yeah.
Letting them hear you and how you enunciate words or how you pronounce certain words. Asking them questions as they read, helps with reading comprehension
Yes.
skills. Doing sight word flashcards,
I love story time, and I love
Yes.
dressing up as Miss Frizzle.
Love it. Love it.
And I go and do story time at our literacy events, and it's
Yes.
always a hit.
Yeah.
So I'll have to come and read.
We would love to have you. As a former elementary principal, that's my jam.
I like to dress up as
yes,
characters, though. That's
yes.
okay, right?
Listen, that inspires kids. This falls right into this. We have to inspire kids to read. Not every student likes to read. So you have to captivate the imagination and inspire a love for reading.
Yeah.
If you're not inspiring a love for reading, then students are going to struggle to learn to read
Yeah.
because they're not reading content or material that they're interested in.
Exactly.
And in life, we're not always going to read stuff that we're interested in. We have to read manuals. We have to learn to do things. We have to go to school, and textbooks are not always fun. But
Legislation. No.
correct. But when we're able to tap students into reading about something that they're excited about and interests them, that's when their vocabulary and their word acquisition just explodes.
Yeah.
And their vocabulary goes through the roof, and they begin to absorb more and more.
I love that. So we are so excited that Superintendent Michael Maine, I was going to say school superintendent,
okay.
but he's with
It's
the
the same
school.
thing.
Superintendent Michael Maine is joining us with this wonderful initiative. We just need more people to join us in this initiative because, as he says, it takes a village. We can't do it on our own. So if you are interested, you can reach out to me via my email, which will be in the description box,
Yep.
or you can also reach out to the school district and
Absolutely.
see about volunteer opportunities.
Yep, martinschools.org. There's a volunteer link. Click on the volunteer link, and all of the information will be there on how you can volunteer. So we just appreciate the time and opportunity to tell our story and to work with you and everything that the Children's Services Council does and everything that Martin Reads is going to do for the community.
Of course. I did want to say
Yes.
the school supplies
Yes.
that you brought in, for the students this
Yes.
year. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about that and how you were able to attain that grant?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, it wasn't a grant. We just had the money, and we were
Oh.
looking at our budget, and because we were trying to be as fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' dollars as we can, the CFO came to me and he's like, "Mr. Maine, we have some extra money here. What would you like to do with it?" And I just started thinking, and the more you think about the economy, and the more you think about the burden on families to afford new clothes or uniforms or school school supplies, it's like that's where we need to help.
Yeah.
You see a need, fill the need, and so I wanted myself and the board to fill as much of the need as possible. There's been some growing pains around it, but
it's a new thing.
yeah, absolutely. But I will tell you, to see a mom or a dad in tears because they were able to put shoes on their kids' feet, or they were able to pay that grocery bill because we picked up the tab for school supplies, goes beyond any complaint we've received up until this point, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We got you the pencils, we got you crayons, we got you highlighters, index cards, folders, binders, whatever it was that they needed, the school provided.
Yeah.
Anything that was on a wish list item or we considered like a luxury item, we didn't buy the gel pens and we didn't buy the mechanical pencils, and we couldn't buy the graphing calculators and things like that. So if students want those things, they need to be purchased by a family. But if it was just regular paper, pens, pencils, coloring,
index cards.
Yes, we provided it. And those materials stay at school. We're not sending them home.
Yeah.
So parents need not fret when, kiddos are not coming home with that stuff, because we want it to stay at school. Because what we find is they go home, they come back to school the next day, and they're still saying they forgot their pencil. I don't have my folder. I don't have my pen. And so with those material boxes staying at school, the supplies are always there. There's no need for a student to say, I don't have a pencil.
And the teachers can always request for additional supplies if needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have had several schools, well, I shouldn't even say several. We've had a few schools reach out to say, listen, we've spent our $20,000. We're in need a little bit more, and they were given. There's no cap. We started them with a certain amount.
Yeah.
You can't just give them a blank check. But if they needed more because they needed additional supplies, they received the extra money.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for doing that and being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. That's our job.
That's our job.
That's our job. Yep.
Yes.
So.
And it was helpful because my daughter needed index cards because I didn't know we needed index cards, and they were in the classroom. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
You said the getting clothes and the shoes and that sort of thing. You just recently changed the dress code, right? The language there.
Yes.
So what brought that upon?
Yeah, brief changes. I think mostly at the small changes, I should say, not brief, but small changes, and I think mostly at the high school level with certain, skirt lengths and short lengths, and it's growing increasingly harder for parents to go to the store nowadays to buy things that are like not scoop neck or doesn't have maybe a hole in the jeans,
or doesn't have a whole shirt.
Yes. The crop tops. I have 4 daughters. They're in elementary, but it's still difficult.
It is still very difficult.
And I think the board realized through demonstrations from some high school students that came in and said, hey, listen, like this is increasingly hard for us to go shopping. This would be acceptable. Can I wear this? And they actually even did a little bit of a clothing demonstration.
Nice, a fashion show.
A little fashion show to our board members. And our board realized like, okay, you know what? That's not a distraction. That could be worn. We're okay with that being worn. And so we've gone to great lengths, actually. Our public information office and Kirsty Germain, our photojournalist, they've done fashion show videos where high schoolers are demonstrating what they can wear and what they can't wear.
Yeah.
They're fun videos. The students have enjoyed watching them. And I think there's been a little leeway to holes in jeans as long as they have like a patch behind it or there's not skin that's showing through them. And they've also gotten a little more accustomed to maybe some of the scoop neck items and some of the lengths on the girls' shorts that can't always be above below the knee. So we're still trying to stay away from any tobacco product shirts or images. We don't want anything that's foul language or in nature. It needs to be something that you would wear to grandma's house and not offend her.
You could go to church in your
clothes. Or wherever, right. And I say it that way because it's easy for the normal everyday person to think about that and say, okay, that makes it easy, right? If you wouldn't wear it in front of someone, your mom, or you wouldn't wear it in front of your grandma, it's probably not something that you should be wearing to school. And so nothing that's a foul language or anything like that.
I just think about the days when I would hide a t-shirt underneath my sweatshirt in and walk out the door
Yes.
and then take off my sweatshirt as soon as I got to school.
Right. Can't say that that's still not happening. What you leave wearing, before you get on the bus and what you show up to school with might be different. But I think all in all, our kids are doing a great job, and our schools do a great job quickly spotting something and giving them an opportunity to put a hoodie on or to change or whatever the case may be.
Now, do you guys have clothing in the offices for something like that, like T-shirts, like Martin County School District's
For
T-shirts?
sure. Yeah, I think at the elementary level, there's always extra clothing around that's clean and folded, usually in the guidance office or a lot of times in the clinic. At the middle school and high school, it's always spirit gear that they have. So if a student comes down and we don't want to send them home for the day, our main goal is to keep them educated and keep them in school, would be to let them borrow, a spirit shirt or some kind of a hoodie or a sweater that they could wear for the day. And if they need to keep it, then we let them keep it. If they bring it back the next day and it wasn't washed, we'll wash it. If it's washed, great. But at the end of the day, it's just about making sure that, our kids have what they need.
That's awesome. Well, I'm not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to share.
I think we went a lot of different places.
We did.
So that's good.
I tend to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's great. It gives us an opportunity to get good factual information out there. Anytime we have the ability to do that, it's welcome, and we appreciate that. And I just appreciate the partnership. And if you need anything, you let us know. And just for your listeners to know that we're all in for kids. We want the very best for our students here in Martin County. We appreciate the partnerships and the community members that step up. We have a phenomenal community, as you know.
We do.
And they help in so many ways within the school district, and whether it's monetarily or it's giving of their time or it's just helping maybe tutor or mentor students, it all helps. And so I'm very appreciative for that.
Well, the school district is the whole reason why I moved up to Martin County.
That's awesome. I'm glad.
So it was an A+ school rating when we moved up here 14 years ago.
Yes, that's awesome.
So happy that it's going back in that
Absolutely.
direction,
Yes,
and
yes.
you guys are doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And I just know that my daughter loves going to school every single day. So hey,
That's all
I'm
that
happy
matters.
about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
time. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for listening to Community Unity. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Share our information with friends and family to help spread the information on life-changing programs funded by CSCMC, made possible by the homeowners of Martin County.